Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Dadas Show, coming to you from KBC Studios here in Nairobi. I'm your host, Ashiko Mbune. As our name suggests, Dadas Show aspires to promote the spirit of sisterhood, solidarity and inclusivity amongst the women of Kenya. And we do this by creating an open and a safe platform for women to discuss any and all issues pertaining to their health and well-being, their lifestyle and career, their families, among other topics. We also take pride in having the conversations that matter, not only to women, but to society at large. Happy New Year and welcome to 2026. This is a season of fresh starts. So while many of you are making resolutions, others are rewriting resolutions, and others are pretending not to have resolutions in the first place, we on Dadas Show are doing something a little bit different. Today, we are diving into the mind behind the resolutions. Why do we set the goals that we set? And how come some goals stick while others evaporate even before the end of the month? And how is it possible for us to build a mindset that supports discipline, growth, and joy in 2026? Joining us today is a panel of experts to help us unpack the emotional patterns, the mental blocks, and the small psychological shifts that turn good intention into actionable and, of course, actionable actions, real actionable actions that can be traced throughout the year. So if you are looking for clarity, consistency, and of course calmness, this is definitely the episode for you. As always, I encourage you at home to keep this conversation going on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. You can also reach us on Dadas Show KBC on Facebook, or you can reach me personally at Ashiko the host across all social media platforms. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. Also, we look forward to hearing your feedback, your thoughts on this and any other episode that we may have aired before. Before we get into today's very, very insightful conversation, let's take a look at the following feature.
A new year has arrived, and with it, a familiar ritual. Resolutions are written, promises are made, dreams are spoken aloud. But behind every goal is a mind. And behind every fresh start is a mindset shaped by our past, our fears, our hopes, and our belief in ourselves. At Dadas Show, we have always believed in more than just conversations. We have believed in sisterhood, in solidarity, and in power of women holding space for one another. And this year, we ask a powerful question. Why do some resolutions last, while others fade before January is over? Is it a lack of discipline, or is it a deeper emotional pattern, or unspoken fears, or mental block we haven't learned about to face? Today, we sit down with a panel of experts, psychologists, life coaches, wellness advocates, and mental health professionals to unpack the real work behind change. Not just what we want to do, but why we struggle to do it. We explore the power of small, consistent habits, the healing that comes from self-awareness, the discipline that is born from self-love, not self-punishment. Because growth is not just about goals, it's about emotional intelligence, it's about clarity, about choosing yourself every single day. In 2026, we are not chasing perfection, we are choosing progress, we are choosing peace, we are choosing purpose, and we are doing it together. So, if you're seeking clarity, calm, and consistency this year, this is your moment. Edna Murungi for Dadas Show.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, today's conversation is all about a reset and a rise and designing a 2026 that you can stick to. Having resolutions at the beginning of the year is no foreign task. Everybody does them. But I think the million-dollar question is, why is it that we are unable to follow through with this resolution throughout the 12 months of the year? So today on Dadas Show, I am joined by a panel of experts so that we can be able to explore why is it impossible for us to stick, and how can we be able to stick to them? So right next to me, I have a counseling psychologist, Lydia Karimi. Thank you so much for making time to join us as we explore this particular topic. Karibu sana, Lydia.
Thank you so much, Ashiko.
And right next to her, we've got transformational coach and mentor, Lucy Macridis. Thank you so much, Lucy. We're really looking forward to hear what your thoughts and your insights are on today's conversation. So, karibu sana.
Asante sana, Ashiko.
Thank you so much, Lucy. Of course, I cannot fail to acknowledge my wonderful audience who take time week in, week out to sit with us, to celebrate, to learn, and to, of course, discuss contentious issues affecting women and girls in this great nation. I welcome you all, and I also welcome you at home for tuning into Dadas Show KBC. We honestly look forward to interacting with you each and every Sunday. So, karibuni sana. So, to get the ball rolling, we're talking about resolutions. Now, tell us a little bit about both of yourselves and what makes you, both of you, experts in this particular topic. I'll start off with you, Lydia. You know, what makes you, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how you became an expert in this particular conversation.
That's quite interesting, Ashiko. Let me say, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, so I am Lydia Karimi, a counseling psychologist and a marriage and family therapist. I've been doing this for quite a while now, almost a decade.
Yes.
I've been walking journeys with individuals, with couples, families, and even groups, taking them through issues to do with their mental health, to do with their emotional wellness, helping people deal with their inner work, inner selves, helping people to heal where they need to heal so that they can be able to make and build stronger versions of themselves so that they can be able to run or make resolutions like we are talking about resolutions and stick to them. Yes. You realize that there are different things that we go through or experiences that we go through in life, Ashiko, that actually deters from getting to where we want to get. And most of the time we do not know or we are not aware that there are inbuilt emotional issues, past experiences that we experience that actually hold us back. Every now and then we try to move, we try to make progress, but there are internal chaos sometimes, or internal conflicts that tend to hold us back. So having gone through this and having seen people actually come to me, share their own experiences, we walk journeys with them, and I see progress in their lives that makes a big difference, and it gives me a lot of fulfillment. So I know so well that I believe that this is the best.
You're very key for this conversation.
Very key.
Thank you so much for that. What about you, Lucy? As your job as a transformational coach, what is your interaction with today's topic?
Wow. Ashiko, thank you so much. It's a great way to start the year, and a happy new year to the two of you. It's great to be here to discuss this. In fact, we should have had this conversation last year because now the year has started.
Yes.
You know, we are out of the gates. But this is what I'm here for. As you've mentioned, my name is Lucy Macridis. However, my AKA is Clarity Coach Lucy.
Yes.
So what do? I offer clarity, I offer structure, so that when you say something, you're able to put it down. I mean, statistics show that you've got a higher chance of achieving something if you write it down. And this is what I do. So I help mostly women. That is my target. I help women out of their limiting beliefs. So we're able to identify what it is. We're then going to planning. And then the great part is execution, because this is where we all tend to drop the ball. You mentioned earlier on that we start now, and by the end of the month,
You're already like,
it left the room. So this is what I do. That is how I'm a transformational coach. What makes me a thought leader in this? Over the last few years, I became a certified transformational coach, and I have had women, over hundreds and hundreds of women, coming to me for this clarity. And usually it's just that, Lucy, I can't seem to do this. I can't seem to finish. I'm not good enough. I'm not negative connotations is what they come with. So every time they come to me, we start with clarity.
We start with clarity.
Yeah. So this is why I believe that I need to be here today.
Absolutely.
So that we can have this conversation around clarity with Clarity Coach Lucy.
Wow. Thank you so much. I'm really, really honored to have both of you sit on a panel. And of course, I like what you said about clarity, because those are some of the things that we definitely promised them at the beginning. We promised them consistency, clarity, and of course, calmness. So let's go to the first question to you, Lydia. From a mental health perspective, and you've touched a little bit on that when you're introducing yourself, why do so many people struggle to stick to the resolutions beyond the first few weeks of the year? Now we are not even talking about at halfway through the year. I think resolutions are normally abandoned like last week of January, first week of February. You're like, it's a wrap, So why do people find it so difficult to stick to these resolutions?
It's a question, it's a concern that a number of people actually fail to ask, or some ask but do not answer. All right. Why is it that we are not able to one, set resolutions and actually keep them? I believe that it's the motivation. Number one, if we are motivated, you notice that during the beginning of the year, there's a lot of, we are coming from an exciting period, okay? We've had Christmas, and we know too well that we're beginning a new year. Nobody wants to get to a new year without something.
Exactly.
Okay, so the motivation most of the time is very emotional compared to structural or systemic. All right, so if you make decisions based on emotions, then you're not likely to follow through. You're likely to pick up, identify, maybe write down, and then leave at some point, because emotions keep changing.
Of course, and the excitement, it comes down. Adrenaline inashuka.
Inashuka, exactly. Now you have to pay fees. You have, there's so many things that come in. Okay, so the emotions, anything that we do based on emotion most of the time is not sustainable. But anything we make or anything we identify based on structure, based on patterns, based on, you're coming from somewhere, then you're likely to follow through. You get it? So in my opinion, it's important for people to learn their brains, how their brains work. Your brain is motivated by small, simple steps, and not the big...
The chunks.
Not the chunks, okay? So if I want to lose weight, and I identify I would love to lose weight in the 2026, then I don't come up with ways, how I want to lose weight, then chances are very high I might lose the motivation along the way. Okay? So if you give the brain the idea, what you want to achieve, and then now you break it into pieces, then you're likely to follow through. Okay? So, sometimes our brain, maybe I can make this a bit clear. Our brain is affected by the things that are happening around our lives. Sometimes it's the environment. You can come up with a resolution, but the environment is not friendly. You are in a very cluttered environment. The brain cannot function in a space whereby there is no calmness. So it's very important to look at the health of our brain. That's where mental health comes in for us to be able to be successful in terms of following through with our resolutions.
Okay, wow. That is brilliant. I like that. And there's something that you've pointed out that is actually very spot on. We have a tendency of making these resolutions, the first week, the second week and we are really hyped up. It's a new year. We've seen the fireworks. We are all amped up. We're like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And of course, you're all high on what? All sorts of good hormones, dopamine, everything. It's flooding your system. And you make things without really having a structure. So let's move on to that particular structure. Coach Lucy, when you're helping people map out the year, like what we are planning on doing today, what are the first steps in designing the goals that feel realistic and achievable in 2026?
And she's so right in what she says when it comes to matters of clarity. Without being clear, you're not going to be calm, because you need to understand this is where I'm at. And if there's noise, you need to make use of your capacity to get rid of this noise, to quieten it down, like just punguza volume on it. So the first thing that we do is awareness. Where are you at? One thing I'd like to point out is when you said, you suggested that maybe we do it in February. Our minds are so structured about seasons, and it's a herd mentality. So resolutions are only done in January.
In January. And
It's a herd
yes.
mentality. But the person who has got a high sense of self-awareness does not wait for January, measures their life with seasons. Yeah. So the first thing that I do with my clients is just to hear you out. I listen to you, and then there's a power in coaching of pausing. We pause. I let it sink for you what you've just said. And then you know what I do? I reflect. I repeat back to you what you have said to me. It gives you that sense of, hiya, that's what I said.
That's what I said.
Hey,
yeah.
okay, that's what I mean. Eh?
Yeah.
And then I go further and I ask you, why is it so significant for you? What does it mean for you? Because now
Yes.
that you've said something, and we're talking about losing weight, one of the things that you talk about is I want to go to the gym, right? But then you sabotage yourself by not packing your gym bag the night before. So in the morning, you've got all these excuses.
Yeah, I couldn't find
Why?
my sneakers.
Yeah, you
I couldn't
know,
find
you know.
Yeah.
So you're
I've been
setting
there.
yourself up for
Yeah.
a fall. Yeah. So what are those things that we need to do in the beginning? Have an awareness. This is where I want to go. How come when you want to go on a ride and you call Uber or whatever it is that you're calling, you put in where you're going? How come you're so good at that, but in your own life,
Yeah.
you're not?
You're not clear.
And then if this driver does not take you where you're going, you catch a feeling. Yeah, and you tell them, come back, recalculate or something.
Yes.
Do this with your life. This is the best practice. So that's where I start. I start with awareness.
Yeah.
That is the first place to start, Ashiko. Because if you do not know where you're going, then really this conversation is pointless.
It's not,
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so now we've moved on. Someone is aware. And I like what you said. Even why? Why are you doing this? Because like you said, I think losing weight is on majority, if not 99.99799% of the women is always losing weight. So why are you losing weight? Are you losing weight for health reasons? Are you losing weight because you ate too much over Christmas? Are you losing weight because you're... There are people who are just comfortable being the way they are. I think that one, when it comes to resolutions, why? And I think that's when you talked about turning down the noise. Because why am I making this resolution? Am I making it because my neighbor is making it? Am I making it because I've been pressured by society to make it? Is it something that is going to be good for me in the grand scheme of things? So I think it's very important. So now here we are. We've already decided about our awareness. What are the other maybe two or three practical steps that you would advise somebody? So now here I am. I am aware. This is where I'm at. I've told you, Coach Lucy, I am ABCD. I'm getting into mid-40s. I want to get my finances in order.
Yeah.
And I am aware that my finances right now are shambles.
Yes.
How can you help me? Let's move on to step 2.
Lydia talked about the internal work.
Yes.
We cannot do external without internal. And therefore now we start to ask ourselves the questions, how are we showing up? Because your identity is key in the execution. So for instance, let's go back with the example on the table of the losing weight.
Of the losing
Yeah,
weight.
I want to lose weight is a very ambiguous statement.
Very.
What does that even mean? And for the three of us, it could mean different things.
Absolutely.
You talked about the why.
Yeah.
So once we understand what it means for me, and I take it on from there, it just means what then are the next steps that I need to do. So I want to lose weight. What does it mean for me? The next question I ask, is it for you? Is it for other people? Is it the trend exactly as you're talking about society? Because we find we do things because it is a fad.
It's a fad. Yeah.
This season will end, no wonder. January 31st is coming just very soon.
Imagine.
You will have abandoned it.
You'll have abandoned
You'll have
it because
abandoned
it's
it.
no longer popular,
Yeah,
and I'm the
it
only
no
one
lo-
who's doing
Yes.
it. I'm like, forget.
Yeah. So once I do that, then we go back now to the identity.
Yes.
And we look at the identity that you're showing up. Maybe you're the person who keeps on saying, whatever I start, I can never finish. So if this person is showing up for the losing of weight, do you see we've already failed?
Yes.
That identity, internal language that you're talking about, has to shift. So I help you to shift from negative frame to positive frame. That's what we call it in a coaching term.
Yeah.
It's a positive frame. That means you're going to say that I finish what I start.
I finish what
As
I
opposed to I never finish what I start. When you start to change this language in your head, it's difficult, but I believe in the 21-day thing. It causes a habit. It really does. You begin to see yourself as that person who has already lost the weight because of your language. So you've got to change your language, and that's what we work on. And that's the C part of the coaching. Is called clarity now. Now we've moved from awareness to clarity. We know how you've been showing up, and we are changing that narrative.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. Now let's just stay there and let's move on to therapist Lydia. And we've already gone back and we said this part is very crucial. And I think in terms of coaching, that's where the work is, just to change that negative self-talk into something more positive. Now, what role do emotional patterns, we started off by talking about emotional patterns or past experiences, play in sabotaging our New Year intentions? And of course, how can we break the cycles? Because there's something that Coach Lucy said that was very, very important. If you're the kind of person who keeps talking to yourself, I don't finish anything, I mean, that didn't come from nowhere. So what role does emotional patterns and past experiences play in sabotaging, and how can we break those cycles?
You've taken us back to identifying the aspect of reframing and changing our language. By the time you're going to change our language, you had a certain language. We need to identify, where is this language coming from? What happened to you? All right?
Yeah.
Maybe some of the voices that you're still speaking today are voices you heard from your parents, you heard from your caregivers, you heard from the teachers. Can you remember the teachers? I remember one of my teachers who punished me because I ate a mango in the school, from the school compound. And in our school, we were not allowed to pick mangoes. And she told me, Lydia, you are going to be a market woman. Because, I was told to go and buy mangoes and arrange the way a market woman would arrange mangoes. Dear. You get it? And I can tell you that voice still speaks to me.
Yes.
If there is something I cannot imagine, Ashiko, is that I can't imagine being a market woman selling mangoes.
Yeah.
Maybe I would rather sell apples and something
or
else.
Pineapples,
You get it?
Yeah.
So we pick our language from somewhere, from the childhood experiences, all right? Maybe as you were growing up, you were told that you're fat. You can never, you don't look good. So when you grow, when you come to 2026, like we are right now, you still feel fat, you feel you're not good enough, okay? And you still say that I'll never change. I'll never change.
So you
I
keep
will
telling
always
yourself, this is pointless. So now, if we've already been able to identify where it comes from, how do you change that?
So now, you identify now the patterns. The patterns that are coming in are self-defeating patterns, like, for example, procrastination. That's where you see somebody procrastinating going to the gym.
Yes.
You see somebody overthinking things, all right? We see somebody doubting themselves, their capacity to lose weight, or their capacity to manage their finances, or their capacity to grow, okay? So you find somebody struggling even with the discipline. Why? Because you already criticize yourself. You were criticized when you were young. So that's the language that you're still speaking, all right? So the emotional patterns, now these are the emotional patterns you've picked from a long a period of time, and now you come to Lydia. When you come to Lydia, you tell Lydia, I honestly am struggling with I criticize myself so badly.
I can't keep to a schedule. I'm not disciplined. I overthink. I love that. Those are very telltale signs.
Yes.
If someone can know that they're stuck. If you find yourself overthinking, thank you so much. So carry on.
So now when we identify them, I tell my clients this: anything you cannot name, you cannot tame.
Okay.
You've got to name the problem so that you can deal with the root issue, okay? And how I help people name their problems is I help them identify they're coming from, and then also I show them the root issues. Because, when you come in, you're bringing in a presenting problem, okay?
Yeah.
Now, this is the problem. This is procrastination. The question I'll ask you is this: what are your desired outcomes? You tell me, my desired outcome is discipline. My desired outcome is to do my work, my tasks within a period of time, or to respond to them as quickly as possible. My desired outcome is to change my language and start speaking affirmative language rather than self-defeating language. And now we begin by looking for techniques with which you can be able to manage your nervous system, to calm your nervous system, so that you're no longer speaking from a survival mode. You're now speaking from a calm mode.
Okay, what are some of those tactics? I'm dying to know what some of those tactics are before we now enroll people and tell them, now let's go look for, therapist Lydia. But what are some of those simple tactics that people who are at home right now can be able to practice?
All right. So number one, we do journaling. I help people do journaling. So you write down the things that happened to you in the past, okay? Once you write them down, allow yourself to come to terms with the feelings that come with them. I feel pain. I feel hurt. I feel disappointed. I'm frustrated. My parents did this and that. Then now, once we do journaling, we've got to come up with ways with which you can be able to discard the past so that we can allow the new to come in, okay? The other way is grounding techniques. For example, taking deep breathing exercises to calm your system. So you breathe in, breathe out until you're in a position to make decisions, not from a point of hyperactivity, but from a point of calmness. You get it? The other tactics that we consider is expressing yourself through, we call it empty chair technique. For example, this is an empty chair technique. This is an empty chair. So you imagine somebody who abused you when you were young is seated here.
Like that teacher of yours, yeah.
Like that teacher of mine, eh? You know? So you speak to them. You tell them what you feel.
Yeah.
And also you speak what you want, your desired outcome.
Yeah.
I will not be a market woman the way you say it. No. I will be great. I am good enough. All right? I made mistakes those days, but now I'm working towards something different.
Wow.
You get it?
I love that.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I like the flow of that. So remember, if you're watching us today and you find yourself just about to procrastinate, if you're overthinking, if you're already doing the negative self-talk, Lydia has just shared some of the tactics that you can actually be able to put in place to be able to calm yourself and to steer yourself back into where you're supposed to be. And I really hope it helps you. Remember as well that the internet is a treasure trove of information, or you can also seek the guidance of definitely a life coach and a therapist. Let's move on with our conversation. So life coach Lucy, transformational coach, clarity coach. You're a coach of all coaches. Practically speaking, how can someone structure? So here we are, we've worked on the emotions. So how can someone structure their daily or their weekly routines to keep their 2026 goals alive without feeling overwhelmed? Let's go back to our case study of losing weight. Because sometimes I like what you started off by saying, we start off, I think it's all about the goals. We start off and we have all this vavuma. Yeah, I'm going to go to the gym every day of the week, even 4 times a day. Yeah, I'm going to be running from here till Embakasi, you know. And then along the way somewhere you start fading. And of course, if you're already doing the negative self-talk, you see, I knew it, I'm not going to be able to do it, it ends. You know, it's very clear right now to see how we don't keep up to that. But give us some practical ways that we can actually be able daily and weekly to keep up with our resolutions.
Thank you, Ashiko. And that was amazing how you just put it all out there. It's important that we know that flow and the things, the tools that we have. Ashiko, let me speak about my lived experience. Because I am that recovering procrastinator. Doesn't look it? I am. I am that recovering procrastinator. I identified as a perfectionist. And because I did so, I delayed to deliver on every front because I had to dot all my I's, cross all my T's, have all the ducks in a row before I could even take the step. And then here comes Lydia just passing me, shwap, and she's gone. So what we end up doing is stopping ourselves from that particular place of taking on those particular tools. The tips that I use as a lived experience is creating a theme for the year. It sounds so cliche and so far-fetched, but it worked for me and it can work for anybody. So like now for this year, I have a theme. And when I have this theme, I work backwards. If this is my theme for 2026, how then do I break it down? You know, Lydia talked about breaking it down, chunking it down. How then do I break it into quarters? So each quarter then has a sub theme. And then I break it further into the month. And that month then goes day by day, pressure. But that was the only way I could rise above my procrastination, to be able to hit the ground running and be true to myself. Because every year it was the same story. I didn't do. 31st January comes. You know, now I'm not even worried about 31st January. I got this. In fact, I have slayed it, I named it, and I've tamed it. So, so what I have done now is I work with a vision board. I make sure I have my 2026 vision board is already out. I know what my theme is for the year. I've broken into quarters. You don't have to remember it offhand. This is where we are setting ourselves up for a fall. Write it down somewhere so that you can keep on going to have a look at it and see what it is. So you wake up in the morning and say, wow, what are we doing today?
What are we doing
because
today?
you've written it down, you can always look at it. Remember the gym bag that we are packing tonight for tomorrow morning? We know what we're doing the entire day. So systems, Ashiko, are very important, because even though she spoke about motivation, there are those days, even that motivation, it ain't there. You try to find that motivation, it's not working. There are days you're on a high, 100 degrees. There are days you're just on 10 or on 0. So what makes you show up every day? It's the systems. So that's a system that has worked for me. And I'm going to say it again. Get your whole year theme, break it into quarters, break those quarters into months, and then break it into your weeks and your days. So that you have a to-do list for today. And make it fun. Make it fun. You can say, this week I'm going to be about what? Being happy. And what does happiness mean for me in the grand scheme of things? Next week I'm going to be studying. What does studying look like? Make it fun. You're the one who's showing up for yourself.
It's not about a Ashiko. I like that. You're the one who's showing up for yourself. And working backwards. I've always found that working backwards for me has really helped, because sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes in the journey, everything gets blurred. And I'm also, I'm in the thick of things in the chronic procrastination, because I'm a perfectionist, and I'm like, everything has to, before I start this podcast, everything has to work perfectly. I have to have the best house. I have to do the decor. And of course, you notice, procrastinators, we know when you're procrastinating. And even when they take away all the excuses. But I like that. If you have a theme, you can work backwards. What importance is this to me? You know, and breaking it down into chunks. Thank you so much for that. That is truly, truly, truly encouraging, even on a personal level. But now let's talk about falling off track. You've started, because man is to error. So how important is self-compassion when people fall off track? And what does a healthy reset look like? Because we're talking about rise and reset. What does a healthy reset look like? Because people have a tendency, and I think we've all been guilty of that, especially on the weight loss journey. You start off and you did really, really well. I had one time I had a trainer, and the trainer was doing this whole tough love thing, and I was like, mini last one, Missy Shauti Wangwe. And it was a wrap, and that was like 3 years ago. And that guy, that was the end of that story. And I know one of the things that I've really been struggling with after that is going back to it, because I've got all this negative self-talk. You know, I had done all the groundwork that time, bought the gloves, packed the gym bag, gotten a good gym, gotten a trainer. And then he just yelled at me, and I was just like, forget you, I'm done. And that was that. How do we show ourselves compassion when we fall off, for lack of a better word, the wagon? And how do we reset responsibly? Please.
Wow. Thank you. That is such a nice one. You know, I found myself thinking about self-compassion. I believe that self-compassion is about identity. It takes me back to identity, right? Who am I? Who am I, Lydia, beyond the titles, beyond the psychologist, beyond the mother, the wife, and all that? It's important to be in touch with your true self, so that for you to be able to be compassionate to yourself. You realize the reason why people beat themselves hard, or we beat ourselves hard, one, we are afraid. If we fail, what will the society think about us? How will my children perceive me? What about my partner? You get it. How about at work? Depending on what the motivation of the resolution is, you get it. If you know who you are, if you found your identity as an individual and loved yourself for who you are, then it will become much easier to be compassionate to yourself. It will become much easier to sit down, pause, I love the pause bit, and tell yourself, you know what, Lydia, your plan was to lose 5 kgs within the whole year, and you had a plan, but unfortunately there are aspects of your life that did not work, and so here you are in November, still not only leave alone, leave the kgs you had in at the beginning of the year.
Put on more.
Now you put on more.
You've added.
So you're worse than you
So
are.
you are worse than you are.
You get?
Save us. How do we be kind to each other? Because what happens is you're just like, if bad in heaven will be given new bodies. And you just carry on. How do you, please teach us.
So you're here condemning yourself,
Yes.
beating yourself very hard, and even trying to go back to ask, why didn't I manage to do this?
Yeah.
Of course, you try blaming other people. You know, it's because this and this person
The
were not
coach
there.
was yelling.
Exactly, you know. It's because my house manager was cooking very good food. You know, we have all the reasons.
Yeah.
You get it? Somebody who has not found their true identity will always find external factors to blame and to place their failure on, all right? But if you know who you are and you have accepted the person you are, I am wonderfully and beautifully and wonderfully made, and I have an identity in my Creator, then you will come back to yourself and tell yourself, you know what, everybody makes mistakes. Man is to error.
Yes.
So you sit yourself down and you begin. You know, you can work on a January resolution in November 1st.
I love that. You can work your hair, carry on.
You can begin, you know, I can start on November 1st to work on my weight or my financial management. You get it? So once you're keen on, you know, tapping yourself on the back, don't worry, you'll still make it.
You still got this.
You still got this.
Yeah.
It is your life.
Yeah.
And you got what it takes.
Yes.
Then it becomes much easier to move, because now you're not moving from a point of criticism, but you're moving from a point of self-love.
Wow. Ooh, I'm feeling charged. I hope you at home, you're also equally feeling charged. You're feeling boosted. You're feeling encouraged. You are thinking, I love what she said about you can always reset, even in November. I really hope you're learning a thing or 2 or 10 with this first session. We'll take a small break and then we'll be back for the question and answer session. Don't go far away. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you have missed one hell of a very rejuvenating fast session. But fear not, because all of the episodes of Dadas Show can be found on YouTube under the KBC Channel 1 YouTube page. Remember to follow and subscribe. So let's carry on with our conversation today, which was Reset and Rise, designing a 2026 you can stick to. That is the key word. So we are also privileged to have a counseling therapist in our wonderful audience. You know, like I told you, I like to cover all my bases. We've got support on all ends. I want our counselor to tell us what her thought and what her take is on today's conversation. Karibu sana.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's exciting to join the show of Rise and Reset 2026. I've had that opportunity to hear other therapists and the coach share their wealth of knowledge on how we can begin, even if it's not in the new year, so that we don't forget. So I'm happy to say that when we can even do habit stocking, it's very important for us so that we see the gradual and the baby steps as we redesign 2026. We have the opportunity even to apply self-care with sustainability on how we can also be intentional in what we do, and the practicable strategies which make us become better every day without self-criticism. But most important is we can be motivated, but we fall back. So it's good for us to have systems as an anchor so that we can see each one of us move the baby steps and we celebrate them So that we see we have really reset and risen to the 2026 with the intentionality.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Josephine, for that. Thank you. I like that a lot. So let's move on to our question or comment, or the next one from, I believe it's Agnes. Agnes, karibu sana.
Many people struggle with discipline. How can somebody practice consistency in whichever resolution that they have made? Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Agnes. And I think that's actually the question mark in today's conversation. Discipline is everything. And that is what people at some point lack because of, even on the days that you have no motivation. I admire the people, back to the weight thing. I admire the people who I see waking up at 4 a.m. and 3 a.m. at wanaenda gym and stuff like that. And now since social media, everybody got a post. You're like 3 a.m. Me, I want to work out at 2:30 p.m. and like for 10 minutes, and that's it. And I want to go home and eat a burger. So how do you keep the discipline?
Wow. Discipline is a value, Agnes, that you need to work on, but then it's easier said than done. To help you, you need to ask yourself, what does discipline in action look like for me? Because that motivation will come. It's a starter. It's a good thing. It's what you want to do. We've already talked about being specific about what you want to do and putting the motivation ahead. We have started. Discipline now is your second stop, because discipline now drives you. Without the discipline, that's just motivation. We can talk about it. What do we say? Stories ajaba. Yeah, it can be just that, yeah? But the discipline then actually moves. It's like a vehicle. But this vehicle needs systems. It really needs something to run on. What is that thing it's running on? It's different for you, for me, for Josephine, for Ashiko. It's different for all of us. Which one is it that works for you? My lived experience, I explained earlier on, was having a theme. So anything I do, anybody, like Ashiko came to ask me whether I can come on this show, and I asked myself my question, does it align with my bigger picture?
Yes.
If the answer is yes, clearly it was yes, I'm here. If it was no, I don't catch feelings like this. I actually say thank you, but no thank you, it's not that season for me. But you need to know what to say yes to. Because when you say yes to it, you're saying no to many other things.
Of course.
And then you need to know what to say no to so that you can say yes to yourself, Agnes. So discipline is a great thing. But those systems and being consistent in those systems, I cannot tell you which system will work for you. It's a personal preference. I can write a book and give it to you right now, but that's how I did my thing. And then you come back and say, Coach Lucy knows nothing. And you throw away the book.
That's what I know
But that is Coach Lucy's life in her season. So what is your season, Agnes? What do you want to do? Unaenda wapi uko? Ukiingia kwa gari unaweka, which pin are you putting in? And even that pin keeps on recalculating if you're going off track. So it's personal. Consistency is going to depend on the clarity that you have, what you've decided to do, the discipline you're applying, and more importantly, the systems that will keep you going even on those dry mornings.
Even on those dry
when you just can't get up. I hope I've answered your question.
I love that. I love the systems. I really love the systems. And I like the way you've said that it's not a one size fits all. Because I think like there's something I said earlier about people waking up at 3 a.m. 3 a.m. does not particularly constitute to discipline. That is what works for them. And I remember when we were in school, we were told about working hard and working smart. And so we would always find some of the people are in class, preps zote, kila wakati, you turn around, that person's head is deep inside a book. And then the results come and things are very contrary and you're wondering what's going on. And yet there was a random garagaria who would be there studying just before the examination. And you'd be like, you knew chawi. You know, so I think at the same time is getting to know yourself, which always goes back to what you know, Lydia said about getting to know yourself and understanding yourself and knowing what kind of systems can I put in place that I can actually be able to sustain. You see, for instance, I'm a night owl, you know, can I be able to do some of those things at night? Can I be able to, you know, plan myself? So again, don't put up your resolutions, my dear people, depending on the fad, depending on the season, depending on the society, depending on your spouse, depending on what's going on, depending on the hype of the day. You know, wait until you calm down, have a little bit more clarity, and then you can carry on. And I think that discipline would be so easy. Yes. I want to give my wonderful, wonderful, exceptional panelists an opportunity to give us a parting shot before we call it a day. I'll start off with you, our lovely, wonderful therapist, Lydia.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed the show. This was really beautiful. My parting shot would be regards our mindset, all right? Mindset. You know, what you set your mind to be or to do, and then put the discipline in it, then you're likely to become that which you've set your mind towards. Wow. And now, I'd love to mention the victim mentality. That is a mindset that actually really hits on so many people, and I'm one of the person whereby life happens to me. People hate me. People don't like me. The gym is not working for me. It is actually the gym coach who is the problem. It is him. You get it? Victim mentality, victim mindset. It's until you change that mindset and allow yourself to be the driver of your own life. That is when you will have the energy and the tenacity to follow through your resolutions all the way to the end. The day I stopped blaming people for my problems and for the reasons why I wasn't doing well, I realized that I'm happier, I'm living a more fulfilled life. I actually have a focused life because now it is myself. Whatever is within my control is what I focus on. What is out of my control, I let go of it. So as we get into 2026, let us take in what is within our control and let us not become spectators of our lives, that we are looking at life happening. Let us take charge of our own life.
Thank you so much for that. Oh, gems right there. Those are gems. Let's move on to you, Coach Lucy. What are your parting shots for this particular episode?
There's a guy called Murphy, and he wrote a law. Murphy's Law. This guy operates on the fact that whatever you plan will not work out. Yes. This is how he operates. Yeah. But like she said, take charge of your life, the thing that you want to do, and know that Murphy exists. Therefore, when Murphy actually succeeds in your life, Murphy's Law, and you fall, remember you're human. That moment is gone. You can never make up for that time. You never can. All you have is this moment moving forward. The human being moves forward. We don't walk backwards. We walk forward, And in so walking forward should all our items be in our life. We need to choose positive outcomes because the negatives will come.
Yes.
Yeah. But let's choose. Let's choose the positive outcomes. Let's focus on that. So when that negative one comes, we speak and say, "Get behind me, Satan." Get behind me, Satan. So we are human. We talked about self-compassion. Let us have self-compassion upon ourselves to know that we fail. We'll be measured by how many times we got up. And then let's take a moment to celebrate those moments that we got up. No matter how small it is. Just let's celebrate. So this 2026, let it be that year of celebrating ourselves. For that who was it who talked about a step? That simple one step.
That small step.
That small step. Stop. Celebrate. If it means standing in the shower and singing away, celebrate. Your celebration and mine are two different things. Choose your celebration. This year, your jingle, whatever it is for 2026. And every time it happens, celebrate.
Celebrate it.
You're human.
I love it. I think
Yeah.
most of the time we're given so much. There's so much information overload, but I love the conversation today. It felt light, it felt airy. It has actually felt like something that you can be able to do. And I like that when you talk about celebrate. I am the queen of celebrating the tiniest things. Like me, there's nothing you can tell me I won't celebrate. There's a small light in my fridge that had gone off, and I do not know why it had gone off. And the fridge is actually new. And then I came and I found it had gone on. How did I danced? I was happy. I was like,
That's a miracle.
hakuna fundi anaitwa.
Yes.
So,
Celebrate.
oh, and that definitely brings us to the end of today's very, very insightful episode. And thank you so much for joining us on this powerful start of the year. As we wrap today's conversation, I just want to remind you something, that your reset is valid at any point, and your rise is possible at any single stage. So it doesn't have to be at the beginning of the year. So as you step into your 2026, give yourself permission to grow at your own pace. Okay, not your neighbor's pace, not your relative's pace. Give yourself permission to grow at your pace, not Ashiko's pace either, because out of hack. As always, let's keep this conversation going on all our social media pages at KBC Channel 1. You can also reach us on Dadas Show KBC on Facebook. You can also reach me personally at Ashiko the host across all social media platforms. On behalf of the production team at KBC, my wonderful panel and audience here in studio, I thank you all for tuning in. And I wish you a lovely, lovely, lovely week at the beginning of the year. And I wish you nothing but positive vibes. Until next time, bye for now.